Running abruptly away, Carrie strode off with long, angry strides. Poirot sat looking after him, and presently he murmured, "Yes, I see." Without turning his head, he said in a slightly louder voice, "Do not come round the corner for a minute, nurse. In case he turns his head, now it is all right. You have my handkerchief? Many thanks. You're most amiable." पैरों को पता लग गया था पीछे से सुन रही है ना? He didn't say anything at all about my having been listening. And how he knew I was listening, I can't think. He never once looked in that direction. I was rather relieved he didn't say anything. I mean, I felt all right with myself about it. But it might have been a little awkward explaining it to him. So it was a good thing he didn't seem to want an explanation. "Do you think he did hit her, Monsieur Pirate?" I asked. Nodding his head slowly with a curious expression on his face, Poirot answered, "Yes, I think he did." वो उसको पसंद नहीं करता था. Then he got up briskly and began to walk where the men were working on top of the moat. I followed him. We couldn't see anyone but Arabs at first, but we finally found Mr. Emmott lying face downwards, blowing dust off a skeleton that had just been uncovered. He gave his pleasant, grave smile when he saw us. "Have you come to see round?" he asked. "I'll be free in a minute." He sat up, took up his knife, and began daintily cutting the earth away from round the bones, stopping every now and then to use either the bellows or his own breath, a very insanitary proceeding, the latter, I thought. "You'll get all sorts of nasty germs in your mouth, Mr. Emmett," I persisted. "Nasty germs are my daily diet, nurse," he said gravely. "Germs cannot do anything to an archaeologist. They get naturally discouraged trying." He scraped a little more away round the thigh bone. Then he spoke to the foreman at his side, directing him exactly what he wanted done. "There," he said, rising to, "that's ready for writer to photograph after lunch. Rather nice stuff she had in with her." He showed us a little, disky copper bowl of some pins, and a lot of gold and blue things that had been her necklace of beads. The balls and all the objects were brushed and cleaned with a knife and kept in a position ready to be photographed. "Who is she?" asked Poirot. "First millennium, a lady of some consequence perhaps. Skull looks rather odd. It must get I must get Mercado to look at it. It suggests death by foul play." "A Mrs. Leidner of 2000 odd years ago," said Poirot. "Perhaps," said Mr. Emmett. "मैं सुन रही हूँ, Mama?" Bill Coleman was doing something with a pick to a wall face. David Emmett called something to him which I didn't catch, and then started showing Monsieur Poirot around. When the short explanatory tour was over, Emmett looked at his watch. "We knock off in 10 minutes. Shall we walk back to the house?" We walked slowly along the well-worn path. "I expect you all are glad to get back to work again," said Poirot. Emmett replied gravely, "Yes, it's about the best thing. It's not been too easy loafing about the house and making conversation, knowing all the time that one of you was a murderer." Emmett did not answer. He made no gesture of dissent. I knew now that he had a suspicion of the truth from the very first when he had questioned the houseboys. After a few minutes, he asked quietly, "Are you getting anywhere, Monsieur Poirot?" Poirot said gravely, "Will you help me get somewhere?" "Why, naturally." Watching him closely, Poirot said, The hub of the case is Mrs. Leidner. I want to know about Mrs. Leidner." David Everett said, "What do you mean by knowing about her?" "I do not know. I do not mean where she came from or what her maiden name was. I do not mean the shape of her face and the color of her eyes. I mean her herself." "You think that counts in the case?" "I'm quite sure of it." Emmett was silent for a moment or two, then he said, "Maybe you're right. Amma sun lo, mama. And that is where you can help me. You can tell me what sort of a woman she was." "Can I? I've often wondered about it myself." "Didn't you make up a mind on the subject?" "I think I did it in the end." फिर क्या हुआ? "Ah, Ben." But Mr. Emmett was silent for some minutes, then he said, "What did the nurse think of her?" Women are said to sum up other women quite quickly enough, and a nurse has wide experience of types. Pyro didn't give me any chance of speaking if I wanted to, he said quickly. What I want to know is what a man thought of her. Emmett smiled a little. I expect they'll be all much the same, he paused and said. She wasn't young, but I think she was the most beautiful woman I've ever come across. That's hardly an answer, Mr. Emmett. It's not so far from the far off one, Mr. Pyro. There used to be a fairy story I read when I was a kid. A northern fairy story about the Snow Queen and the little K. I guess Mrs. Lydna was rather like that, always taking little K for a ride. Ah, yes, A Tale of Hans Andersen, is it not? And there was a girl in it, little Gerda. Was it her name? Maybe, I don't remember much of it. Can't you go a little further, Mr. Emmett? David Emmett shook his head. I don't know if I've summed her up correctly. She wasn't easy to read. She'll do a devilish thing one day and a really fine one the next. But I think you're about right when you say that she's the hub of the case. That's what she always wanted to be, at the center of things. And she liked to get at other people, I mean. She wasn't just satisfied with being past the toast and the peanut butter. She wanted you to turn your mind and soul inside out for her to look at it. And if one did not give her that satisfaction as Pyro, then she could get ugly. I saw her lips close resolutely and his jaw set. I suppose, Mr. Emmett, you would not care to express a plain, unofficial opinion as to who murdered her. I don't know, said Emmett. I really haven't the slightest idea. I rather think that if I had been Carl Reiter, I would have had a shot at murdering her. She was pretty fair devil to him. But of course he asked for it by being so darned sensitive. Just invites you to give him a kick in the pants. And did Mrs. Lindner give him a kick in the pants? Inquired Pyro. Emmett gave a sudden grin. No. Pretty little jabs with embroidery needle. That was her method. He was irritating, of course, just some blubbering, poor spirited kid. But needles a painful weapon. I stole a glance at Poirot and thought I detected a slight quiver of his lips. No, I don't believe you'd kill a woman because she persistently make you look at fool at every meal. Poirot shook his head very thoughtfully. Of course, Mr. Emmett made Mrs. Liner sound quite inhuman. There was something to be said on the other side too. There had been something terribly irritating about Mr. Reiter's attitude. He jumped when she spoke to him, and did idiotic things like passing her the marmalade again and again when he knew that she never ate it. I felt inclined to snap at him myself. Men don't understand how their mannerisms can get on women's nerves so that you feel just have to snap. I thought I just mentioned that Mr. Pyro sometime. We'd arrived back by now and Mr. Emmett offered Pyro a wash and took him into his room. I hurried across the courtyard to mine. I came out again about the same time and they did, and we all were making for the dining room when Father Lavigny appeared in the doorway of his room and invited Poirot in. Mr. Emmett came on around and he and I went into the dining room together. Miss Johnson and Mrs. Mercado were there already, and after a few minutes, Mrs. Mercado, Mr. Wright, and Bill Coleman joined us. We were just sitting down, and Mercado told the Arab boy to tell Father Lavigny that lunch was ready when we all were startled by a faint, muffled cry. I suppose our nerves weren't very good yet, for we all jumped, and Miss Johnson got quite pale and said, What was that? What happened? Mrs. Mercado stared at her and said, My dear, what is the matter with you? It's some noise outside the fields. But at that minute, Poirot and Father Lavigny came in. We thought that someone was hurt, Miss Johnson said. A thousand pardon, mademoiselle, cried Poirot. The fault is mine, Father Lavigny. He explains to me some tablets, and I take one to the window to see better. And ma foi, not looking where I am going, I step the toe, and the pain is sharp for the moment, and I cry out. We thought it was another murder, said Mrs. Mercado, laughing. Mary, said her husband. His tone was reproachful and she flushed, bit her lip. Miss Johnson hastily turned the conversation to the day and what objects of interest had turned up that morning. Conversation all through the lunch was sternly ecological. I felt we all felt it was the safest thing. चलो कल पढ़ें कल पढ़ते हैं सो गई अम्मा